be good story. The king had a minister who enjoyed great wisdom, and trusted that all that God would appreciate for man is good. And one day the king went out with the minister to hunt animals. And whenever the king managed to hit something, the minister said to him, "Perhaps good." And during their path the king fell into one of the pits. The professor said to him, "Perhaps good." Then the blood of the king bled a lot, so he went to the doctor and ordered to cut off the finger so that the rest of the body would not be harmed because of him. So the king became very angry and refused to submit to the doctor's order, but his finger did not stop bleeding, which forced him to cut his finger. Then the minister said to him, "Perhaps good." So the king asked the minister, "And what is good about that? Do you wish my finger will be cut off?" He got angry and ordered his guards to arrest and imprison the minister. And the minister said, "Perhaps good," and the minister spent a long time in confinement. One day, the king went out hunting with his guards, and fell into the hands of a group of people who worship idols. And they took him with the aim of offering him an offering to the idols they worship, and when they offered the king to their leader, he found his finger cut off. So he ordered to leave him and return him from where he came, because the offering must be correctly without a cause. Then the king returned to the palace cheering miraculously to deliver his death from death. He asked the guards to bring the minister to him. Then they brought him and the king narrated to him what happened with him, and he apologized for what he had done from him. Then he asked him about the reason for saying, "Perhaps good," when the guards ordered that they imprison him. So the wise minister told them that if he had not imprisoned him, he would have accompanied him with him in hunting as he usually does, and it will be an offering to idols instead of him. And the minister told them that when God takes something from man, he will be tested by God, and for good that the servant does not know. So the king rejoiced greatly and said, "Perhaps it is good." Belief in God's judiciary brings the believer happiness in life, and this is what happened with the wise, as he was reassuring happy despite the king's order to imprison him. And his command was not offset by resentment or anger, but by believing that God would choose the best for him, just as faith in God's judgment calls for optimism when the difficulties are severe, because it means that the fulfillment of relief and victory will be achieved according to the promise of God. Glory be to him. And that happened when the king fell in more than one hardship before he survived. Starting from falling into the hole and then injuring him, then ordering amputation of his finger, and then subjecting him to kidnapping and killing as a sacrifice to idols. Just as the believer in God's judgment is not afraid to say the truth, because he knows that he will only suffer from what God has written for him. And this is represented in the role of the wise in the story, as he did not hesitate to say the truth to the king that his misfortune in cutting his finger was good despite the king's displeasure with him.